Sunday, November 9, 11/9, to you ladies and gentlemen, to all my friends in Japan, I'll be there soon, and to my friends in the Philippines, Malaysia, Singapore, and other parts of Southeast Asia, see you soon. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a special telecast for Donald Trump. The president, one of the greatest, if not the greatest presidents of all time, President Donald Trump. Everybody in the Democratic side are jumping like hell. And I'd like to personally congratulate the landslide victory, surprisingly, because he led a very good campaign from ground up and started very early. That is Mayor Zoran Mamdani. I pronounced that correctly, so I am not being biased with anything. I am acting like a real American, which is non-biased. So let me get right to the point. I would like to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, that based on the current trends, the landslide victory of the next president is still the anointed one, so to speak, of President Trump. In fact, this particular video has been connected with certain elements in the Philippines, shockingly. So I'm going to find out tonight, and I'm going to extend this video tonight, who these persons are. Okay? But let me get first right into business. I'm talking about the Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene from Atlanta. Or should I say from Georgia? No, from Georgia. And I'd like to tell you, Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, that the president, despite the victory of Mayor Mamdani and the Democratic stronghold of New Jersey and Virginia, the Trump successor will still win by a landslide in 2028. Why? Because the economy right now is going from a transitional, difficult, recession-looking like economy to a boom economy. How do I define a boom economy? Low taxes, income taxes, property taxes, which we are getting into, low gasoline or fuel prices, and investor confidence is high because of the many types of incentives for new investors. And that happened 6 months ago. And it is picking up steam very, very fast in the next 11 months. In the next 11 months. So all the bad, difficult, bitter pill situation being done in your constituency in Georgia, which, by the way, I love Atlanta, Georgia. I love Georgia. That was the very first step of my feet in American soil in 1989. I love Georgia. Georgia on my mind, to Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene. But you have to understand economics. Economics always comes in cycles. But now, because of technology, we are going to eradicate the cycle to fast-track everything. And I will submit these proposals to the great Secretary Scott Bessent. I'd like to repeat, we were always taught in economics that economics comes in stages. What is a stage? It's a cycle, okay? Depression, recession, back to prosperity. So how do you understand that? I will put it in the new graph. The Gavino Bautista graph of increased level of prosperity that is sustainable. Now that's where the genius comes to reality. And in fairness to me, I submitted that Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene to no less than then Fed Chairman Ben Bernanke. That was submitted in Irvine, California from 2004 to 2006, and we knocked on the door through a telephone call with then President George Walker Bush, which unfortunately, to be honest with you and candid, in the spirit of American freedom of speech, was rejected. And you can even call up Ben Bernanke right now, together with his surrogate by the name of Mayet Boris Mendoza. What am I trying to drive at, Congresswoman Greene, Marjorie Taylor Greene? Because I don't want to confuse my audience. When you're in Washington, D.C., it's the most pressure-oriented job in the world. In the corporate world, which I came from, it's always pressure. It's always tension. It's always non-stop deadlines. If you're not used to that kind of a situation, it's very obvious the success path will not be achieved. The objectives of that given entity, if I may say, whether it be Washington, D.C., or any company, will not be achieved. Success, big-time success, global success, comes from never-ending tensions, shouting matches, if you may, and aggressive language. I looked at a company by the name of Nestle, the largest food company in the world. And I will not mention you the name, but I can mention it to you if you want to. Just give me a call at 405-503-8511, because I was requested by certain personalities in the East Coast not to mention the name. Not because of anything else, but because of just, decency and proper decorum in journalistic style and flavor. And look at Nestle now. Because during that time, they were managing Nestle in a way that they would say, no, it's okay, it's okay. Everything is okay, Gavin. They called me Gabby back there. That was 1988, 89, 90, 91, 92. It's okay. It's okay. We're Nestle. Everything is fine. Okay, okay, just get out of here, okay? Look at it now. It's in a very precarious situation. 99 cents, one of the most well-managed stores in the world. It closed down because of that mentality. It's okay. You know, we're okay. We're okay. And they do not want to push the numbers because it's okay. The leadership, whether it be government, private sector, or an institution like the Vatican, like the Mormon group, they will fall apart if there is no urgency. And I mean urgency, if you gotta shout at that subordinate of yours, then do it. Why? Because the world becomes topsy-turvy and down because of people who do not understand what results are all about, what urgency really means in order to achieve big-time objectives. Because the leadership that is needed in America is Donald Trump. He said it beautifully. America has already been destroyed by so many nations because of naive policies. All of these great nations right now that are competing with America used America to achieve that certain level. And look at America now. Look at Atlanta now. The person to blame in Atlanta's condition are the former leaders. And I was there. I wanted to stay there, Marjorie, believe it or not, but during that time, the leadership of Atlanta, or should I say the state of Georgia, could not sustain the greatness of Georgia. But during that time, Atlanta was at its peak, 1980s. They were doing very, very well. Investors were flocking Georgia like anything. In fact, probably it's one of the greatest years of that state. Why? Because of people like me. And people who were there who made Atlanta truly a great state. But now it's not there. Why? Because of the quality of immigrants. And more importantly, the policies of the government. In other words, Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, it could not have been sustainable. It should have been safe. It must have been sustainable. And Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, this is what I can tell you right now. If Treasury Scott Bessent approves my plans, which were rejected by Bernanke, I guarantee you with my honor on the line, Atlanta, Georgia will be great again. And as you know, forgive me for shouting because of the frustration. That should have been done a long time ago by Bernanke. He did nothing again. Now people are blaming Trump. No, Trump is on a catch-up mode. The state of Georgia was destroyed. And as I would like to tell my underlings and my millions of fans. If you don't shout, your message will not come across. They will just say the proverbial, "It's okay. It's okay, Gavin. We're all right." Ben Bernanke, voicing the name of, personifying the name of Ben Bernanke. "No, Gavin, I'm Ben Bernanke. It's all right. We're okay." Okay. Look at it now. Marjorie, do you like that to happen again in your great state? Trump is the one fixing the problem. And as I said, the policies, the numbers will intertwine in the next few months. And it will start to peak in 2027. And investors like Japan, Malaysia, Korea, Europe will all be here. Marjorie, Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene. And by that time you will say, Gavin Batista was right. Donald Trump, the president, one of the greatest presidents of all time, was right after all. But as I said, economics are always on a stage-by-stage level. In fact, you can give me a call right now so we can end this anxiety of what's going to happen next, because I already know, Marjorie. Been there so many times. But there's a lot of pressure in it. There's a lot of difficulty. And even death threats, as you know. But that's how America exists. Not defined by the Republicans, but in fairness to the Republicans, defined by certain illegals paid by Democrats to kill the Republican Guard, so to speak. In other words, to end this, if I may say, amateurish type of conversation, whether he said, she said, I said, give me a call, Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, at my U.S. cell phone number at 405-503, and that's 8511, 405-503-8511, so I can explain to you what is going to happen next to help your constituents achieve their American dream. And with all honesty, the person to blame is not Donald Trump, but Ben Bernanke. And I can show it to you based on graphs what happened in 2001 to 2010 to 2010 to 2020, and from 2020 to 2025. That's what you call cyclical analysis of economic curves. And if the economic monetary policies are right, your constituents in Georgia would not be suffering anymore. Because I don't want to sound banal or sacrilegious, but the fact of the matter is, monetary policies, economic incentives for investors will define whether the economy will be sustainable for prosperity. This is the curve of prosperity that will stay there, not go there. Sustainable means it stays there. Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, for as long as possible. For as long as possible. And that during, in fairness to the Democrats, because I was a Democrat before, that happened during the time of Bill Clinton. Now, can it happen during the time of Trump? It will. I guarantee you that. It's just that I must confess the tariffs being hit on are too sporadic. It must be what? Specific. And that is what a big portion of my proposal to Scott Bessent is all about. Sporadic, not sporadic, but specific. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you have any questions, feel free to give me a call, because your state, I know, is having some difficulty because of this budget cuts. Or should I say, a situation where the Democrats do not want to agree with the Republicans because they want a huge amount of money in the $1 trillion level to make their program sustainable, which is a tough situation. But as I've said, it can be resolved. And I think it will be resolved anytime soon. So, thank you. Good night. And I will have another segment tonight. Today is only about 3 o'clock or 3:30, if I may say, Central Time in the United States of America, specifically in Greater Oklahoma City. Thank you, good afternoon, and see you soon.